Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be checking out I Am a Servitor's Tale, Warhammer audiobook by A Vox in the Void. Man, I've gotten so many recommendations from a lot of you to check this video out, and I loved Vox in the Void's last story we checked out, Cry Havoc I believe it was. Man, that was awesome, and he just is such a great narrator and such a great voice actor in general. So I'm really excited to check this one out. A servitor, what is a servitor? Well, from my understanding, it's a bit of a blanket term, essentially. Basically to anyone who has had their consciousness ripped out and is basically a slave, a robotic slave in a sense, or a cybernetic slave, let's say. From what I know, there's obviously the servo skulls, but then I've been told the Mechanicus also uses them a lot. To like carry weaponry, or they mount weapons on them, that type of thing, because they're just kind of like a mindless drone that they can send to die without any sort of consequence. A servitor is also, I believe they're dissidents, essentially dissidents, non-believers, you know, anybody that has the wrong opinion in a sense, I guess. Anyone who is dishonorable in the face of combat, disobeys orders. Any of those people could potentially become a servitor. Even, I guess in the Space Marine trial, or Space Marine recruitment video from Luton we watched yesterday, I suppose even initiates could even be potentially turned into servitors if they disobey during that time period, which is very interesting, you know. So, I don't know a lot about. I didn't think a servitor could really, like, you know. I don't think they're capable of thought. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they're capable of like higher thought at all. I'm pretty sure they're just lobotomized, to my knowledge. So I wonder if this is going to be like a third person kind of like telling of it. You know what I'm saying? Like you're viewing a servitor from like a third person. I'm interested to see how this is going to be done, but I don't know. I'm excited, guys. So big shout out, obviously, to our members, our Triari, and our Hastati out there, our Triari, Paralyzed Tortoise. I appreciate you a lot, man. Big thank you to you. As always, you know, I appreciate you guys. And also, if you guys haven't heard, we have a Discord. So go check out the Discord. Go check out my channel for a link to join. It should be in this video also, but if you want a clickable link, go check out my channel, join that Discord, be part of the discussions, and yeah, join the Legion, eh? But without any further delay, guys, if you enjoy, leave a like, subscribe for more content from me, and leave your recommendations down in the comments below. Without any further delay, let's get right into this, guys. I'm excited. All right. Vox in the Void. I'll just read that real quick. Brasilius and A Vox in the Void presents an unofficial Warhammer audio production. Oh, is this fan-made? Hold on, let me just check the description real quick. Huge thank you to Brasilius. Original work. Oh, original work can be found here. Yeah. Okay, this is fan made. Okay, sick. I mean, I'm assuming all of Vox in the Void stuff is probably fan made, but no, that's really cool. I'm gonna leave a link to his that forum page as well in the description. Go check it out.
I am a newborn. 11th of my bloodline, I came to be within a family of settlers. Too powerful to be poor. Too poor to be powerful.
Oh.
I am the first male son.
Hold on. Sorry to pause again. That's a powerful line. What was it? Too powerful to be poor, too poor to be powerful. God damn. That's a very powerful line, if I do say so myself. Fuck, I want to hear that again.
Too poor to be powerful. Too powerful to be poor. Too poor to be powerful. I am the first male son born since we came to this blue marble. I draw my first lungful of air surrounded not by those who loved me, but by machines and chirurgeons. They examine my limbs and inwards in invasive ways. I cried and felt pain and fear and cold, and there is disapproval in their eyes. They found me wanting. I am...
So is that his actual birth, or is he already a servitor? Because it said he was birthed not by those who loved him, but by machines. So is he already a servitor? I'm wondering. This is interesting. Let's keep going.
Mesmerized. It was my 5th birthday when I finally could touch the sea, endless and all-powerful. It covered most of the world my family now calls home.
You see me writing down, looking down. I'm writing stuff down.
Pattern that was engraved on my very being. My young mind couldn't comprehend its pattern, but yet I was attracted to it. I could hear my name echoing just beneath the waves in a tone I thought impossible to hear. That night, I dream of diving into that underverse as far as my breath could take. The currents guided me ever deeper to waters somehow destined to me and me alone. But the deeps were too dark, and the water too cold. I wished that I could endure it, but I hadn't.
Had to bring my camera into focus there.
The morning after I awakened from this dream with the news that I was to embark in a strange ship, destined to go beyond the horizon.
So, when that's when he was age 5, is that correct?
The morning after
And he had a dream that he was in the ocean.
But the deeps were too dark, and the water too cold. I wished that I could endure it, but I had not. The morning after I awakened from this dream with the news that I was to embark in a strange ship, destined to go beyond the horizon. I am a student. My father sent me out of our home world to study in the best school he could afford. For the first time in my life, I could see my home world as it was with my own eyes. A vast blue marble, with 9/10 of its surface covered by nothing but that impossible, vast ocean.
Wow. So he must be a human. He said he is, I am a student. And the tale's name is I am a servitor. So he is a student. And I'm assuming that that line might change later. Interesting. Okay, so he came from a very not populated ocean world, it looks like.
Within this ship, harsh tutors and a personal physician was all that would keep me company and healthy. Beyond them, everything was alien to me. I am not enough. In the capital of our sector, there were no second chances. Students are expelled for every new test made. Most of them are flogged in public before they are marched out in disgrace of the Scholas's gates. I have no friends here. In this endless jungle of permacrete and plasteel, I am alone. The greys and neon lights of the hives offends me.
So he's in the hive city now. He is a student. I'm assuming he is a human at this point. Given what we just heard, what they do to students, floggings, everything, I'm assuming he's going to make a mistake somewhere, and that's going to drastically change his life forever, I'm guessing.
This place has made a chaotic order spawned from propaganda, fear, and human flesh. An antonym of the sea that I so much miss. All I have are the endless trials and tests made to take my measure. Constant mental pressure threatens to turn me into the sludge that rains down to the underhives below. My bed is my only respite in these trying days. But even in the comforts of the night I found no peace, as the same dream plays again and again. I dream that I dive again into my ocean, but now I delve too deep into the sea. I cannot reach the surface. There was no air within my lungs, and I'm almost giving in to despair. I am blessed. I found the answers that I needed. In my dreams, I saw a lighthouse, impossibly vast and golden. Its purer light pierced the dark waters, illuminating the deeps of the ocean and filling it with teeming life. Now I could read the text written upon its tides and hear the music of its patterns. Kaleidoscopic fishes fetched me bottled messages left adrift with fragments of wisdom long thought lost, with an eternal patience. They teach me all that I needed to know. There was no question the scholars teachers gave me I couldn't answer, and no trial that was hard to me now. But the booms of the sea goes even beyond. In the sea's floor.
So is he talking about how he just gained a knowledge there. I'm just thinking, from what I know about Warhammer, the sea, I know the void at times, or the warp, I should say, is kind of described as a sea a lot of the time, and the Astronomicon is described as a lighthouse. And he just said he came upon a great golden lighthouse while he was diving in the sea. Is he talking about the warp? Is this guy a psyker in a sense, and maybe he doesn't know that? I'm just trying to throw assumptions out here. That's interesting. I'm just trying to like think like, because everything in Warhammer, it's always got like an underlying tone. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep watching. This is interesting. It's making me think.
Even beyond. In the sea's floor, I found treasure chests and spoils of wars ready for the plunder. Within the safes and chests were not jewelry and gold, but libraries of fates and counterfeits that were now mine to learn. I became
and he's also talking about knowledge. He's gaining a wealth of knowledge. I don't know, man. Wow. It's making me think.
Counterfeits that were now mine to learn. I became master of the present and student of the future. I am cursed. The eyes of envy fell upon me. They denounced me as an imposter and a cheater. The masters of this world had their children flogged because of me, as they couldn't keep up with my connection to the ocean and fell from grace from the Schola.
Really? Oh.
Now they demanded my head in justice for their disgrace. They put me on trial and found me cursed. Those jealous zealots condemned my bloodline for not giving me up to the black ships, and now they had to suffer for their crimes. The lords of the Schola wanted me burned at the stake.
Wow.
I dreaded the flames with all of my heart.
And what we learned too, I'm trying to think of which video it was. I think the Horus Heresy video part 2 from Luton there. Go check that out if you haven't. I'm pretty sure, because it described a lot of worlds where I'm assuming he's got to be a psyker. He has to be a psyker of some sort here. I'm assuming. And going off that assumption, obviously we know that some worlds took to psykers a lot easier. Some human worlds, rose up psykers. They promoted their growth. They allowed them to do their thing. And then on other worlds, obviously psykers are witches, right? That's how they're seen as. They're witches, and they're dabblers of chaos and all this and that, whatever, right? So I'm assuming that's a world that he's on. This is interesting. This is really interesting. I'm assuming. I could be totally wrong about that psyker thing. Maybe he isn't a psyker at all. Maybe that isn't the warp. Somebody let me know. But I'm just trying to make that connection, because that lighthouse analogy, that golden lighthouse analogy, that was just too strong for me to think anything else. You know what I'm saying?
To feel the fire already touching my skin, but that wasn't to be my fate. They would make me into a tool. My family's name would be erased. Their faces unremembered. Their deeds expunged. Their glories unsung. And we were all simply forgotten. I am a servitor.
Wow.
Blinded by light and deaf by the noise, they made me a living part of a machine I knew nothing of. When once I learned of politics and history, now the only lessons given to me were about pain and suffering. My mind was bombarded with bureaucracies and paperwork, day and night. A flood of orders and instructions was processed by my brain every single moment. Sleep was impossible, and thus the sea couldn't come to me. I saw myself in the moments of the deepest deliriums down on the ocean floor in utter darkness, crushed and forgotten, left to be picked apart by the scavengers that hide in the lightless deeps.
Wow.
Here, time passed with the speed of mountains, but it passed eventually. I discover myself not alone in this hell, but one within a circle of damned souls that join fate with me. I could see their shapes and silhouettes against the darkness of the lightless ocean, all linked within this torturous machine, forever bound to serve and to pay for their sins.
Wow, so he's not even the only one that this happened to. So this... Wow. Okay. Obviously, servitors in Warhammer, there's tons of servitors, like they're everywhere. You know, again, it's like a blanket term, right, for pretty much anything that has a lobotomy and it's higher thinking replaced with cybernetics in favor of menial tasks, right? Wow. Yeah, this is really making me think, guys. I'm not gonna lie. This is a deep one. It's also very depressing. I'm not gonna lie, but it's good. I like it. I really like it. This is a very, very dark story. I could already kind of like, you know, tell a servitor's tale. Like you kind of already can assume that, but this is very dark. Wow.
I am something. I discover myself capable of taking over the hollow husks of those who were trapped within the same machine as me. The burden of concentration found in relaying the capital's orders is lessened the more husks I control. Some of those trapped asked to be part of this new whole between their mental screams of pain and collapse of consciousness.
Wow.
Others resisted, and even tried to fight against me. But eventually, they merged nonetheless. Finding in me peace for their torment, their pain was now a mild discomfort, and in time, it became nothing.
Wow.
My original...
So he's adding his consciousness to that of others, I believe, is what's happening here. I believe he's melding his consciousness with others, and I think that's easing the burden on them, but it's also probably making him more powerful. I think because a servitor would not be able to remember its home, would not be able to remember its past, its family, and yet this one is, you know, at least from our perspective. Again, this is from a first person perspective, not a third, which is like, again, that's what I assumed it would have been, a third person perspective away, right, looking at the servitors, but this is from one's actual perspective. Let's keep watching. This is interesting.
It became nothing. My original body that carried me to this inferno was long gone, replaced like another component in the machine, but yet I remained here. The poor soul that was my replacement of my old body soon joined me as well. I became more than the sum of those husks. I made this machine work in unison, in perfect synchronicity within itself.
Wow.
Before, the torrential amount of data I had to process was akin to titanic tsunamis that dragged whole cities to the oceans. But now was droplets of rain in the calm ocean I reside. Technicians and priests take care of my physical parts, calling me blessed and holy when they refer to my being, or the machine. In truth, I could not tell anymore where the machine ends and I start. In fact, I question what I am. A servitor. A machine. Pulses within circuitry. The sum of my tasks fulfilled. A frustrated nobleman. An officer that fell from grace. A scholar. A factory worker. An enforcer. A heretic. A priest. A discontent. A thing. A mutant. A scum. A savior. A man. Something lesser. Or something greater.
So, because he just talked about how his physical body was now cared for by priests, which makes me think that the Mechanicum. So the Mechanicum are the one that do this to people in general, aren't they? So maybe they caught on that he's able to be a higher processor in a sense, for lack of a better word, and now they revere him instead of, you know, see him as a slave, right? He's actually important because he's blessed by the machine spirit in a sense, right? Now because he's cybernetic, that's What a fucked belief. No offense to any Mechanicus lovers out there, but damn. Oh.
Whatever it
No,
is
I like the
that I am
Mechanicus.
now,
They're cool.
One thing still
but...
persists. A thing that was so primordial to me that even now it was present in my mind. The nostalgia of the ocean. I am enlightened. I don't merely relay information anymore, I learn, adapt, and I become more. I know now that I was here for at least 300 years, and it was my task to relay orders and news to the entirety of this sector. I know the names of all the 48 inhabited planets, 35 temporary colonies, and the 143 space installations within the border of this sector. I know their histories, current rulers, noble families, all public, private, and classified information. With pain and effort on my part, I turn all I learn into a grand compilation of mine. The most cohesive and complete reservoir of knowledge that exists within this sector. Many were those that tried to breach my vaults of knowledge. None came close to accessing it, and none lived to have a second chance. This library of mine was compiled to serve me and me alone with a single purpose in mind, to find again my homeworld, and to bring me back to the ocean I so much craved for.
Wow.
I am exploring. Not myself physically, but with careful study, small changes in...
I wanna pause and just talk about that for a second. I've been writing down every time he says I am. Right? So I am a student, I am cursed, I am a servitor, I am something, I am enlightened, I am exploring. Right? I think that's really interesting because he went from growth to cursed to nothing to something to enlightened to now a higher power. You know what I'm saying? That's really interesting. Like, because he came from, wow. I think this is really interesting. This is a really good story so far. And Vox in the Void, man, this narration is awesome. Wow.
Not myself physically, but with careful study, small changes in budgets and the rearrangement of several minor personnel, I managed to create my own exploration fleet, mostly made of retrofitted civilian vessels.
Wow.
Pirate ships still fuming with plasma trails and exposed hulls, with only 3 proper military ships amongst my ranks. The state of the disrepair of the local battle fleet is deplorable, and the incompetence of those I had to relay the orders made wandering by this sector a dangerous proposition at best. My expedition departs port with a slim chance of achieving its objective, but I did my best with what I had and with those under my command. I sailed the stars veiled not by their distance, but by incompetence and neglect. Tens of thousands of worlds were surveyed by my crew. Many rich and still uninhabited, others covered in abundant archaeotech still to be plundered, while entire worlds starved to make the noblemen of the sector capital ever so fat and ever so rich. Using my fleet, I saved entire worlds from logistical apocalypses and put several others back on the map.
Wow.
In the 50th year of the expedition, it finally succumbed to the fire of aggressive Xenos and renegade pirates. Much of the knowledge was salvaged, but there is still no trace of my dear blue marble. Judging by the remains of destroyed worlds in the fleet's wake, I fear that my homeworld was lost in this uncaring galaxy.
Wow. So that's interesting because by the time he gets the ability to actually do anything, to remember his past and to actually be able to go out there and seek it again, he's 300 years old. In the scale of Warhammer, man, your planet might not exist quite literally in that time, you know? Like, that's fucking a long time, you know? Obviously, it's not on the galactic scale, but in terms of, like, we're talking Warhammer here. Like, the Horus Heresy, the entire thing took place in 7 years, for example, which is insane. And you got to think about how much shit went down there, right? How many worlds were completely devastated. Wow, you know? Very interesting. We're going to keep going here. Wow.
The world was lost in this uncaring
I don't know if he's going to be able to find his homeworld.
I am ready.
I am ready. Wow.
Many sectors of bureaucratic nightmares were unmade. Entire logistical chains had to be created. Booming colonies I turned into hive worlds to supply the manpower for my projects.
Wow.
Cults and uprisings were fostered and cultivated in several key worlds. Their news I whisper to agents of the Inquisition. The populations of those worlds sacrificed in the cyclonic storms that cracked their world apart as exterminatus was declared.
Jesus.
Their exposed liquid cores laid the foundation to several industrial and forge worlds to feast upon. Archaeotech was excavated, and their secrets I showed to the Red Priest of Mars, who heard my words as holy revelations.
Wow.
Gas giants were seeded.
So he's obviously not just a Servitor anymore. What would he be considered as? Unless he is just still considered a Servitor still at this point. But under Mechanicus, if he's got the Red Priest of Mars, him, like, itself, I should say. Because obviously, like, what do you even call a Mechanicus, you know? At that point, with how modified they are, you know? If he is able to whisper into the Red Priest's ear and he'll actually listen, it'll actually listen. Man, like, this is not just some, like, nobody Servitor, especially getting out there with a fleet of its own, solving all these logistical issues. This is crazy, you know? So what would he actually be considered as? I don't even know, you know?
As holy revelations. Gas giants were seeded with gene-tailored floating plants. Their harvest would quench the hunger of untold trillions.
Wow.
Wars were waged and the tales of several generals exaggerated. Misinformations and altered records made dozens of those figureheads into imperial saints, consecrating nearly settled colonies into shrine worlds, bringing the wealth of the Imperial Church and the presence of the Adeptus Sororitas to this corner of the galaxy. Adeptus Astartes founded their fortress monasteries across my civilized worlds. Their oaths of eternal servitude and dedication to the defense of this sector inspiring ever greater deeds of zealotry and bravery from the common man. The god engines of the Schola Titanica now walk upon my worlds.
Wow.
Some come relocated from across the galaxy to guard this bastion of civilization. Many others excavated from the ruins left of the old night and restored to a measure of their former glory. Their houses grew in fame and power as they extinguish many Xenos races and mutant empires that lurks in the edges of the stars.
Wow.
An entire red dwarf was warped around concentric rings of steel to harvest energy and material solely to fuel its dry docks and shipyards. Continent-sized resorts were built upon those rings to house the ever-expanding navigator houses. Those engineered humans saw their talents in so high demand, as brand new void behemoths took flight every single year from its void docks, tasked with the monumental duty to extinguish the Xenos and pirates at once from...
I'm sorry to pause here again, but last time we had reference 300 years old, 50 years ago, 50 years into the exploring. And that's when he came across Xenos, renegade pirates, all that stuff. I wonder how much time is actually passing, because he's talking about a lot of shit going down across the worlds that he personally is controlling, which makes me think that this Servitor is very fucking old, like has to be extremely old. He's definitely older than 300 years at this point. Wow, you know, like I'm just trying to think. And obviously he's talking here about their services being in such high demand. I think he's literally talking about psychers, but because he was on a Mechanicus world, they obviously don't see them as the same, right? Wow.
Tasked with the monumental duty to extinguish the Xenos and pirates at once from my sector. And after half millennia of shadowed guidance and the consolidation of all the infrastructure I needed, I shall launch my 100-vessel-strong exploration fleet.
Half millennia, so 500 years.
Armed with venerable vessels, hundreds of thousands of regiments, veteran Astartes, several branches of the Mechanicus, and even some maniples of several Titan legions.
Wow.
All with the same secret mission: to find my dear blue marble and take me home. I am tired. This machine is failing. This sector is growing beyond me every day. Before, the few dozen worlds under the incompetence of those of the capital sector was a trivial thing to manage. But now, 700 billion souls called for leadership. Exatons of materials clogged the main warp lanes. The logistical Bailey that I could possibly manage is at the edge. This place is growing faster than I can adapt. They call this sector the Galactic Doorway, the Blessed Presto, or even Ultima Ma. But to me, it is a growing nightmare. Entire hive worlds worth of noble buffoons boasted about the glories I gave them. Legions of Lord Generals claim the honor of winning the battles that I fought. Admechs ascend into the hierarchies of Mars, boasting about the discoveries I made. And the Imperium fight wars with the armies that I summoned. After I would be gone, none would ever notice that I had ever existed. There will be no statues of me, as none alive knows my posture. There will be no paintings of me, as they would never know my face. There will be
he
no
is just a
tales
servitor
about me,
still.
as neither me nor anybody remembers my name.
Wow.
I wonder how many others had a similar fate. How many random souls were strapped into one of those machines like I am. How many of those rule from the shadows. Free from human ambition and pride. Free from the frailties of the man's mind. Free from the shackles of body and time. Is the Imperium ruled by those of flesh, or those such as I? I am home. Today, after almost a year of absence, I am finally home. My fleet finally arrived at their destination after searching for it across 250,000 stars. And
so 1,000 years went by, quite literally, before he from when he left to when he came back. Wow.
Destination after searching for it across 250,000 stars and 3 times more worlds. After 190 years of battle, pain, and strife, I couldn't believe myself when I finally found what I was looking for. A system was located within subsector 997-61 at the imperial date of 735.M41, at the very edge of our sector, the last planet of our galaxy. I recognized the pattern of revolving seas as soon as the macro-picked feeds of my ships captured the image. It was my home world, abandoned but alive and healthy.
Wow.
I didn't resist, and assumed direct control of several explorers during their journey to the surface. The white clouds above danced like children at the flavor of the 7 winds. I stepped barefoot onto the beach. I closed my eyes, savoring the hot grains of sand that slowly covered my feet as I pressed it against the soft grounds below. The wind passed by me, with the touch of silk and the lips of the most caring of lovers. The smell of the sea was sweet, with the blossom of an immense variety of underwater vegetation. Its chemical composition so well tuned to my nose that no essence crafter could make a more fine perfume.
I'm shocked he actually was able to find his homeworld, and I wonder what the result of this is now that he's here, like now that he's found it. What, like, he wants to be home, but what does that mean for him? You know what I'm saying?
I opened my eyes, tears quietly making their way to the sand. The visage was the sum of all the poetic descriptions of home and peace that I knew made manifest. Standing here, true happiness, once thought expunged from my being, resurged at the sight of such complete embrace. I ran to the sea. All the caution that came of centuries of shadowy guidance was banished to the deepest recesses of my mind. I bathed in that most holy of oceans, I drank mouthfuls of that salt water, danced and jumped at its waves, and let myself loose in the arms of that sea that gave me so much and asked for nothing in return. In the embrace of my dearest blue friend, I could finally understand the wave patterns of my homeworld, the orderly chaos, the hidden message engraved within the waters. When I was whole again, the images and patterns triggered a memory buried beneath 100 million lifetimes. An intrinsic part of myself long thought lost resurfaced like an ancient leviathan from the deepest oceanic trash.
Oh, he's remembering shit.
My home. And I shared the same name. Both baptized by my father, cherished by my family, cast into the oceanic void to be forgotten by the same incompetent hands. Both incapable of existing without each other, calling and yearning for each other's company. And now we are reunited again. We are so intrinsically linked that I couldn't forget it. And now I know it didn't forget me also. I am this planet. And this planet is me. I am Tyron.
Tyron. Wow. Is that how it's ending? Jesus. Wow, that was really good, guys. That kind of blew my mind a little bit. Now, Tyron, that doesn't really... I don't know a lot about the in-depth lore. That doesn't mean much to me, you know what I'm saying? So can somebody explain to me if they know what Tyron is, or what, I guess this was obviously a story, but if that's actually like an official thing? Because obviously I know this is an unofficial Warhammer story, right? So maybe it's just an unofficial audio production, but there's a forum page. I'm going to post a forum page there. I'll probably go check that out after this video, but man, that really got me thinking a lot. And I really like the transition of, like, you know, again, I am a student, I am cursed, I am a servitor, I am something, I am enlightened, I am exploring, I am ready, you know, I am tired, I am home, I am this planet, you know? And I wonder, like, I wonder if somebody let me know if I am right. Like, is he a psyker? And he's actually a psyker that was turned into a servitor, and through those means, it's actually kind of expanded his abilities a little bit. Obviously, not in the way anybody would want them to be, but in a sense, it kind of expanded him, because he talked about the Red Priest of Mars, like listening to him, which is so interesting, you know? Wow. I thought that was extremely good. Big shout out to everybody who recommended that. I Am a Servitor's Tale, a Warhammer audiobook by A Vox in the Void, obviously there. Wow, that was fantastic, guys. Big shout out to everybody who recommended that to me. Big shout out to our Triari, Paralyzed Tourist, and all of our Stadi out there. I appreciate you guys. Come join the Discord if you want to join in on some Warhammer discussions, or just chat, chill out, you know, play some games, whatever you guys feel like. You know, I want to be able to interact with you guys on a bigger scale, and obviously the Discord will allow me to do that with you guys. So if you're interested in that, come join that as well. But yeah, I thought that was a fantastic video, and man, I really can't wait to see more Vox in the Void, because he makes fantastic videos, and his narration is it's amazing. Honestly, he gets you so engrossed in those videos, and like, wow, simply, you know, I'm blown away by it. But yeah, guys, if you enjoyed, please leave a like, subscribe for more content from me, and leave your recommendations down in the comments below. Without any further delay, this has been Centurion, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace, guys.